Oh, welcome back. What we are going to be doing as a class and on these subwork slides is looking at two videos about the Canterbury Tales and its author, Geoffrey Chaucer, and keeping track of some of the information using this word cloud here. So we're going to connect this word cloud to two videos. They'll be skipping around in some parts of them, probably not too much with this first one. All right, it's short. It's about 2 minutes and change. And I'm going to pause it one or two times to show you how to highlight and what sort of things we'd be looking for to connect. All right, so let's take a look. Course Hero, let's do it.
To better understand the Canterbury Tales, it's important to understand its author, Geoffrey Chaucer. Chaucer was born in London in the 1340s, but his exact
Born in London in the 1340s, Geoffrey Chaucer. Do I see anything here? Yeah, I do. I see his name right there, and I'm going to get it with mustard yellow, Chaucer. And all of the stuff that connects with this video is going to be yellow. So let's put a yellow block around here so you can show me that you understand that the parts of this video that are connecting with this word cloud we're going to get here. Now, do I see anything about England? No. No, I don't see too much about England itself. Perhaps you'll find it later on when you're looking. Let's go ahead and get back to the video.
exact birth date is unknown. As a teenager, Chaucer worked as a royal page, and later he traveled widely throughout Europe as an emissary for the king.
Ooh. So if you're a page, you're often studying to become this, a knight. So that's got that castle diary type stuff written all over it, right? And Chaucer's job, and there's Chaucer again, was to represent the king. Now, I don't see anything about a king, at least not right now. Oh, I do see Page right here. But I do see courtly. And if he's part of the king's court, it makes sense to highlight that. Yes, indeed.
These positions gave him the opportunity to meet people from all social classes and many different countries. Chaucer became fluent in several languages, including French and Italian. The Canterbury Tales reflects Chaucer's colorful background. Most of the tales themselves are based on existing stories. Chaucer was one of the first writers to write a complex literary work in the English language. He set a precedent.
Ooh, I remember that word literature. I know I saw it. Yeah. They use the word literary, meaning having to do with literature. And they're talking about the tales themselves. So I'm going to highlight that yellow as well. That might take a few passes. Nice work.
That generations of other authors would follow. Chaucer established the use of pentameter, a verse line consisting of 5 two-syllable units. After its publication, the Canterbury Tales pentameter became the stock in trade of English verse for the next 500 years. Used in epic poetry, narrative poems, and even underscoring the work of William Shakespeare, Chaucer's work was able to showcase distinct characters, all with their own voice and style, giving readers an overview of society across classes and occupations. None of Chaucer's original manuscript has survived. Medieval scribes had copied various compilations of the work. These beautifully illustrated manuscripts were popular even before the first printed version was published in 1478. By this time, scholars agreed on Chaucer's brilliance in weaving together a rich tapestry of characters and genres. The Canterbury Tales is still considered one of the greatest works of English literature, and its popularity as a work that both entertains and teaches has not faded at all.
All right. Wow. What a happy dude. So, any other things that we can add? I'd like you to find at least two, meaning you'll have a total of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 9 total highlighted words to go with that video there. You can draw the number 9 there. Take the time to do that now, please. Now, switch on over the orange, please. Now, this video is going to have a little more edits because there are some parts that you can watch later on your own when you get home. But we're not going to watch all of it together, just some parts. All right. So this is a TED Ed, everything you need to know to read the Canterbury Tales.
A portly miller, barely sober enough to sit on his horse, rambles on about the flighty wife
of a crotchety old carpenter, and then they tell an inappropriate story, right? But that inappropriate story is not something we're going to read in class. You can read it on your own later, but it does come from the Canterbury Tales. All right, let's take a listen and look at some of the background for the Canterbury Tales and some of the characters that go on there. Let's do it.
Which seamlessly blends the lofty and the lowly. The work consists of 24 stories, each told by one of Chaucer's spirited characters. Narrators include familiar medieval figures such as a knight, a clerk, and a nun, and the less recognizable reeve and manciple, and others. The tales are written in Middle English, which often looks entirely different from the language spoken today. It was used between the 12th and 15th centuries and evolved from Old English due to increased contact with European Romantic languages.
Romantic meaning Latinate languages like Portuguese, French, Italian, Spanish.
After the Norman conquest of 1066, most of the Middle English alphabet is still familiar today, with the inclusion
of a few archaic syllables, right? Look, they got two-letter Y's. Crazy. All right, so let's see. What do we have so far from this video that we could highlight in orange? Grimus seems like the sort of word that we would see in Old English. Talks about the different stories. I see the word story here. Talks about all the different characters. I see that characters here from different points of view. So I'm going to highlight that there and put an orange box around this to signify that's what matches this video. It's the color orange. All right, let's pick it back up.
Inclusion of a few archaic symbols such as yog, which denotes the Y, J, or G sound. The loquacious cast of the tales first meet at the Tabard Inn in Southwark. They have a journey in common, a pilgrimage to Canterbury to visit the shrine of St. Thomas Becket, a martyred archbishop who was murdered in his own cathedral. Eager and nosy for some personal details, the host of the inn proposes a competition. Whoever tells the best tale will be treated to dinner. If not for their pilgrimage, many of these figures would never have had the chance to interact. This is because medieval society followed a feudal system that divided the clergy and nobility from the working classes, made up of peasants and serfs.
And we studied that often with the Castle Diaries and talked about that hierarchy pretty frequently. So we have the miller, which might be different than a palamon, which might be different than a squire, which might be different than, right, and so on and so on. So we also see the word French here. They talked about how Old English merged with other European languages, like in France, right? Excellent.
Oop. In Chaucer's time, a professional class of merchants and intellectuals had also emerged. Chaucer spent most of his life as a government official during the 100 Years' War, travelling throughout Italy and France, as well as his native England. This may have influenced the panoramic vision of his work, and in the tales, no level of society is above mockery. Chaucer uses the quirks of the character's language, the ribald humour of the cook, the solemn prose of the parson, and the lofty notions of the squire to satirize their worldviews. The varied dialects, genres, and literary tropes also make the work a vivid record of the different ways medieval audiences entertain themselves. For instance, The Knight's Tale of courtly love, chivalry, and destiny riffs on romance, while the tales of working-class narrators are generally comedies filled with scatological language, sexual deviance, and slapstick. This variation includes something for everyone, and that's one reason why readers continue to delight in the work in both Middle English and translation. While the narrative runs to over 17,000 lines, it's apparently unfinished, as the prologue ambitiously introduces 29 pilgrims and promises 4 stories apiece, and the innkeeper never crowns a victor.
So we never quite know who wins. I'd like you to take the time now to find, we've already got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8. I'd like you once again to find 9. So that's to find one additional one. Please find one additional matching word to go with that video in the upper left. Go ahead now. All right. So now that we've got our heads in the right place with the background of Chaucer and the background of the Canterbury Tales, we're going to write a little bit of poetry ourselves. But to get there, we have to understand this word up here, which is the word connotation. Repeat after me. Connotation. One more time. Connotation. Nice. So highlight this word up here, connotation, mustard yellow. And look at these 3 examples. The first is a neutral connotation, and I'd like you to highlight this word visitor in blue to match its neutrality. All right, a visitor is neutral. A visitor could be good, a visitor could be bad. You don't really know till you get more information. The word doesn't tell you much besides that the person is visiting, right? So it's a neutral connotation, right? The next one is a guest. You're a guest in my home. Be our guest, be our guest, put our service to the test. I'm a highlighted green sherry and you highlight the rest. All right, guest in one's home. Highlight that word guest, right? And then connect that word guest to connotation. This is a positive connotation. Positive feelings and emotions come with the word guest as opposed to visitor. Now, this last one, let's get it and highlight it red. It is the word intruder. That is a negative connotation. Not only are you not a guest, not only are you not a visitor, you are not welcome. And if you are coming in, you are intruding. So this is a negative connotation. And we're going to think about neutral, positive, and negative connotations as they're presented in the Canterbury Tales. So go to slide 3 for me, please. And let's just reread just the very beginning of the prologue, and we'll annotate it when we're done. All right, so this is the prologue to the Canterbury Tales, the version we're reading in class, not written in Middle English, but modern English. April rain was dripping off the branches as I rode beneath them, but the last sunlight of a fine spring day made the leaves shine, and I was glad to be on my way. I could stay the night at the Talbot Inn in Southwark and make a start for Canterbury by first light. But it seemed that I was not the only one on Kent Road that day. As I stabled my horse, I found 20 other animals, their heads already in the manger, rending noisily at the knots of hay. Their saddles were hung up above their stalls, and as I opened the low door and ducked into the tabard's yellow warmth, my eyes stung and my nose filled with the reek of cooking and wood smoke. Well, I like this connection of reek and I like this connection of smoke. It seems important, his attention to how pleasant this place feels. It might not smell particularly great, but we get a lot of positive words. And that's what we're focusing on right now, our positive and negative and neutral connotations, right? The connotations, words like stung, certainly has a negative emotional connotation, and the word fine has a positive connotation, whereas April might not be one way or the other, it's neutral. So, why don't we think about that with a little more depth here? Use these negative red rectangles, and I'd like you to see if you could find any words that are negative. Try to find at least 2 words that are negative. Take a moment, whoever the sub is, you can pause the video when you hear this piano music and see if students can on their computers find 2 negative words. All right. Perhaps the word reek, right? The last thing you want to do is reek. And perhaps rain. Now, can you find any words that don't have a negative connotation and don't have a positive connotation? Take a moment to try and find those. All right. Did you find branches, Southwark, April? None of them have a particularly negative or positive. Can you find two positive connotations from that last prologue we read? You find it? Yeah, fine and smile. Those have positive connotations. So we're going to take it a step further now. We're going to use the connotations of these different words to make something called a blackout poem. Repeat after me real quick. Blackout poem. So let's take a look at this passage one more time, and we're going to break it down with some connotations and then turn it into a blackout poem. So let's go over it again real quick. April rain. Oh, rain's negative. I'll put my negative there. Was dripping off the branches as I rode beneath them, but the last sunlight, sunlight seems positive to me, of a fine spring day made the leaves shine. Oh, shine seems positive to me too. And I was glad to be on my way. I could stay the night at the Tabard Inn. Doesn't seem like there's much feelings with Tabard, so I'm going to put neutral there. At Southwark, and then make a start for Canterbury by first light. But it seemed I was not the only one on Kent Road that day. As I stabled my horse, I found 20 other animals, their heads already in the manger, rending noisily at the knots of hay. Their saddles were hung up above their stalls, and as I opened the low door and ducked into the Tabard's yellow warmth, my eyes stung. Oh, stung is negative. And my nose filled with the reek of cooking and wood smoke. So now I want to decide, all right, where in that passage are some words that are positive? I want to write a positive poem based on this prologue. This slide here is going to be the model, and you can try and make your own on slides after this. So let's go ahead and get the color green for positive. And let's highlight all the green words. All the positive words. Well, I'm going to go with fine spring. I'm going to go with shine. I'm going to go with light. I'm going to go with yellow warmth. And I'm going to go with wood smoke. Together, that seems like a positive smell. Now, why is it called a blackout poem, Mr. Surface? Because you're kind of taking away words and emphasizing others to create a new poem. So let me show you what I mean. You're going to switch over to pencil and start blacking out words that you don't think you need for the poem. Will you only use the positive words? No. But highlighting them green first, if you want to write a positive poem, is one way to create, to get started, to think about it properly. So let me show you how you might make a blackout poem. April rain was dripping off the branches, but the last sunlight of a fine spring day. So I'm going to leave April rain, and I'm going to get rid of everything else in that sentence. I'm going to get rid of this but as well at the beginning of the next sentence. April rain, the last sunlight, and I'm going to get rid of, and I'm going to get rid of The last sunlight, fine spring, shine, and I'm going to get rid of the rest of that line. I don't see any need to keep the next part either. Nor the next part. Please highlight along with me. Please cross out and black out along with me. So far my poem reads, April rain, the last sunlight, fine spring, shine light. I don't see anything in that next paragraph that I want to keep. So I'm going to get rid of this line entirely. I'm going to get rid of this line entirely. I'm going to get rid of this line entirely. I'm going to get rid of this line, but I'm going to leave the word duct. Get rid of tabard. My eye stung and my nose filled with the reek of definitely getting reek. I'm going to leave cooking though and of. Now, let's take a look at what this might read like as a poem now that I got rid of all this other stuff. All right, take a look and read along with me. So, April rain, the last sunlight, fine spring, shine light, ducked into the yellow warmth of cooking and wood smoke. Well, that's a whole different poem now. Now, I want to do a little drawing to go with it. So I'm going to put all white over here. Ooh, that is not the color white. Let's try again. There we are. And I look at that poem over there and I think, okay, what can I draw that would match that poem? Well, it seems to me like it's talking about rain and wood smoke. So I'm going to draw some rain clouds using my highlighter, using the letter or the color gray. There we are. And I'd like them to be giant clouds, so I'm going to put them here. There we are. There's a cloud. And it's got yellow warmth, so I've also got a little bit of sun. And it's got wood smoke. Ooh, too thick. And it's shining, so I might do some yellow lines here shining out from my sun. You. Boom. So now I've got my poem on the right and my picture on the left and above it a little bit. That's a completed poem. I might take a screenshot in case something goes wrong later and I have trouble with my Pear Deck for some reason. All right, then it's on to slide 7. Let's try this again. We're going to read through this one, and I want you to move and find 2 negative connotations. I want you to find 2 positive connotations, and I'd like you to find 1 neutral connotation. See if you can't manage to find those now. Pause the video and try them for maybe 2 minutes. All right. So now that you've had a chance to try it on your own, see if they match mine. And as I opened the low door and ducked into the tavern's yellow warmth, my eyes stung and my nose filled with the reek of cooking and wood smoke. Well, I'm getting reek. Joffrey, roared the innkeeper, pushing his way between 2 priests. Pushing in this one, especially since this priest, seems negative to me. To greet me at the door. Greet seems positive. No one makes you feel more welcome. Welcome seems positive too than my good friend Harry Bailey, the innkeeper of Tabard. He can remember a guest name from one year to the next. Guest seems positive to me. But name, positive too. From one year to the next, I think year's pretty neutral. And he's always ready with a hot meal and a jug of the finest. I do believe he keeps the best inn in the South. Ooh, best is positive of the river. You'll have good company for your pilgrimage. Oh, there's the word good. My friend, he said, beaming at me. Beaming is positive too. There must be a dozen other pilgrims in already. Pilgrims having sort of a neutral, right? We don't know if we agree with them or their views or stories yet or not. Slide 8. So now your job is to go ahead and we highlighted on 7 some of the positive words. Maybe this time you might want to focus on the negative words. So turn on the highlighter, turn on the red, shrink it down so it's not going crazy. All right, so you got to drag this guy there like that. And maybe find some of those negative words, right? Maybe you want to keep stung. Maybe you want to keep reek. Maybe you want to keep smoke, right? Maybe you want to keep roared if you want to do a negative poem, right? So we found a few negative ones. We could certainly go down here and find another one. Maybe we want to keep, where's another negative one? Not too much negativity in this one. So maybe you want to switch to green and go with positive and go with like good company. Or maybe you want to do a mixture of both. But I'd like you to take 5 to 10 minutes and to make a blackout poem with a picture on the left. And I'd like you to black out or take away words on the right. Take the time to do that now. All right. I hope you are looking at a beautiful poem. I'll be looking at it myself soon to give you a grade. So, quick review: highlight, mustard yellow, connotation. It can have blue, a neutral connotation, like visitor. It can have a positive connotation, like guest. Or it can have a negative connotation, like intruder, right? A negative emotion. Emotion. Try slide 10 on your own, then come up with a poem on slide 11. Then I'd like you to reread through the prologue and annotate along the way. If you look in this week's work, as well as look in the subwork, there is a video that you can watch that'll take you right through the prologue. It will use some other slides at first. So if you want to skip to about 3 minutes in, maybe less, it'll take you straight to the prologue. Please enjoy. Good job. And make sure you finish your work. If you finish everything and you're done early, there's a little, what's it called? Word search at the end on slide 18. You just put it on yellow and you're looking for words. So, like maybe you see the word do, and that's one of the words you find. Boom. You would just highlight it like that, and then you would highlight it down here. Okay? That's your job. Good luck. Go get them. Substitute. Please call me. Use the paper. It's got my number on it. And if anybody's having trouble meeting expectations, let me know via text or call, and I can start reaching out to families now and see if we can't get a meeting by the end of the day. All right, hoping all is well. Everybody, enjoy, enjoy.